Well, howdy y'all. Welcome back to another edition of M vs. NPR. Now, I'm going to be addressing this one because Jeff Bezos and his wife are just a pure example of just women riding the coattails of men. Now, I won't do just a strict MGTOW breakdown of this woman. I'll just include it in this whole NPR thing that I'm doing. So, alright, here we go.
While most of us were sleeping, hundreds of thousands of people around the world were on the march, warning of the dangers of climate change.
Hundreds of thousands of kids, of children who've taken the days off of work, or school, sorry.
People here in the U.S. are joining in today, including workers at e-commerce giant Amazon. But before those workers could strike, their boss unexpectedly stole their narrative. I'm joined now by NPR's Alina Selyuk, and I'm just going to note here before we start, Amazon is an NPR sponsor. So, Alina...
Now let this be an example of a man handling a problem appropriately. Remember, if you got a problem and your worker's about to uprise, what you do is you run towards the problem, you don't run away from it. You beat him to the punch. You don't wait to counterpunch.
Before we get to what Jeff Bezos did, what can you tell us about what is happening today? How many Amazon employees are taking part in these climate protests?
They're expecting more than 1,500 Amazon workers to walk off the job today. They are expecting to be joined by other tech workers from Google and Facebook. And this is important context because there's this group inside Amazon called Amazon Employees for Climate Justice. And they previously organized a shareholder resolution that was focused on climate change. For example, asking Amazon to report how it plans to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's a list of about at least 1,500 workers that need to be fired.
And this resolution got signed by thousands of Amazon workers publicly with their names and titles, which was quite unprecedented for Amazon. There's a video of Amazon worker Emily Cunningham presenting this resolution at the shareholder meeting in May. I spoke to her yesterday.
I just knew that I had to speak up. I felt like it was my moral responsibility. But at the same time, I was also speaking up against my boss, who also is the richest man in the world. And
now, here's where I wanted to jump in here. And I once upon a time wanted to do a whole thing on MacKinzie, but so many other people did. So she says, Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. All right. Right now, well, as of August 2019, estimated net worth of, let's say, $114 billion. $114 billion. His now ex-wife, who is mother of his 3 sons and mother to his adopted daughter, who pretty much just went to the same school as him, Princeton, got a BA in English, went on to work for a company. She probably got the job through her dad. I won't get into that. That Bezos was working at. So within a year of graduating college, she gets a job where she's working with Bezos. And within a year of meeting him, she married up to him. Within a year. She stayed married to him for, I don't know, 30 some odd years. And had 3 sons. They adopted a daughter together. She walks away with a cool $34 billion. A cool $34 billion. For being a housewife. For being a housewife. And all she did was go to Princeton, get a job in English, or get a degree in English, got a job through her daddy, who was a financial planner, at a hedge fund or whatever that Bezos was working at, then started dating him, rocked his world, because, you know, she's not a bad looker, and this is her, like, in her 30s, maybe 40s. Yeah. Jeff Bezos married this woman, had 3 kids by her, and then she checks out, and he's cool with her walking away with like a third of his money. A cool third. And really, we can just end this video now. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say about her. But I'll finish up this article just because this is part of my series.
While I was very determined to do it, it was also very scary. And in the video, you can see that I'm shaking.
The resolution failed.
Of course you're shaking. You're standing up to your boss.
The resolution failed, but it got the attention of more Amazon employees, and over 8,000 workers ended up signing an open letter to Bezos, asking to aggressively reduce emissions, to stop contracts with oil and gas companies, to stop campaign contributions to politicians who deny the existence of climate change. And their next act today is the climate walkout, so it's not a coincidence that Bezos chose yesterday to unveil Amazon's new climate
Surprise!
pledge.
I've heard you. I've come out with this new climate pledge. Does it meet?
And once again, private industry, capitalism, not only responding to its workers and its shareholders, but going above and beyond what the government requires. Once again, like with the coal industry and the petroleum industry and the fossil fuels industry, we see the market solving this problem.
Does it meet those people's demands? What's in it?
Not entirely. It seems to be a separate thing. It was presented as a very separate thing, but not a coincidence. And it's Amazon's plan, as they put it, to meet the Paris Climate Accord 10 years ahead of schedule. Here's Bezos speaking yesterday.
They plan on meeting the Paris climate demands 10 years ahead of schedule. And that's free will. Just an employer trying to keep his employees happy so they don't walk out. Thus showing that even though these people should be fired, that striking does work. No need for a union or anything.
Yesterday.
We've been in the middle of the herd on this issue, and we want to move to the forefront. We want to say, look, if a company of Amazon's complexity, physical infrastructure, delivering 10 billion items can do this, so can you.
Amazon says by 2030, it will use 100% renewable energy to power.
By 2030, 100% renewable energy. That's solar, wind. It would have to only be renewable. It would have to only be solar and wind.
Renewable energy to power its global infrastructure, which, if you think about it,
Well, hydroelectric. Not bad.
it includes trucks and warehouses and massive data centers. So, for example, Amazon has put in a huge order of 100,000 electric delivery vans. The company's goal is to be carbon neutral by 2040, meaning it would emit far less carbon dioxide or offset those emissions by investing in things like wind farms and planting trees.
So we heard Bezos say Amazon has been in the middle of the herd or the middle of the pack. What does that mean exactly?
Right. So when I talked to environmental advocates and groups that follow this, they argued Bezos may have been a bit generous with that description. But so Amazon does have a group focused on sustainability. They're working on reducing packaging waste. Bezos himself has talked about how important climate concerns are before yesterday. Mm-hmm. But for example, Amazon had not disclosed its carbon footprint like many companies have done until.
Disclose your carbon footprint. That's a weird thing to request, but whatever.
Many companies have done until yesterday, and it's a big one. It gets a bit tricky comparing different companies here, but if you look at Amazon's plans on just renewable energy, other tech giants like Google and Facebook have already or almost reached the goal that Amazon just set for 2030. But on the retail side, Amazon's goals are more ambitious than of its biggest competitor, Walmart. So inside Amazon, the climate advocates definitely celebrated the news of the climate pledge, but the workers still plan to walk out today for what
They still plan to walk out because they had plans like parties and stuff planned. Even though he gives them what they wanted before they had to strike for it, they're still planning to walk out. Thus, why these people should be fired. Give me their job, Jeff. Yo, Jeff, give me one of their guys' jobs.
Plan to walk out today for what they call the, quote, fight for a livable future.
NPR's Alina Selyuk. Well, most of
And
us
once again, we see just a woman walking away. Literally, all this woman did was sit at home and make babies and read books. That's literally all she did. And she got $34 billion for it. Unbelievable. Well, if that ain't red pill enough for you, I don't know what is. All right. Well, you guys have a nice day. And always remember to go your own way. Yours truly,